You're at that point of the year. It's coming to the end of October. What else are you waiting for? Next thing is the 55 days of January. They begin. Is it not true, City?
It is absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So for that reason, we are telling you Merry Christmas. From this day on, it's Merry Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, Christmas is coming. The festive season is coming. It's about time to spend this and the other. You're doing some shopping for here. You have some bills to pay. You have some emergencies to take care of. And you are running short of money. And you want a companion who you can call and say, so urgently send me 5K, please. I will pay by the end of the week. That companion can be on your phone that you've downloaded and you're working with the companion. It's called Tala. Tala. You go to Tala and you say, Tala, send me 5K urgently. Tala will send you 5K urgently. Tala will even ask you, when do you want to pay? Tala is that kind of friend. When do you want to pay? You're the one who commits, oh, I want to pay in 20 days. Tala will be like, okay, here is a 5K. You pay within 20 days. You pay within 20 days. Tala tells you, good man, CT, good man. Next time you come and you say, oh, Tala, I need 15K right now. They'll tell you, okay, when are you going to pay? I'll pay within 25 days. All right, here is 25. You see, this is the companion that you need as you get into this festive season. And then January is coming with the things that come with January. It's school fees, it's what, it's the landlord also. Why do landlords need money in January?
Because you're living in their house.
Yeah, but why can't they wait till you pay them in February?
Okay, why can't you wait and live in the house in January? Yes.
These relationships need to be rearranged. Anyway, download Tala today from your Google Play and you will have an easy time getting into what? Into the festive season. Health Friday conversation. Every Friday, we do this. Now, we cannot go into the end of October and we do not discuss what happens in October countrywide. And globally, it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And so this morning, we are privileged to have Professor Mansoor Saleh, who's a consultant oncologist at the Aga Khan University Hospital, to come and tell us more about breast cancer in this country. Prof, good morning.
Asante, thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Good to have you back here. You're looking well and healthy.
I'm trying.
Very good. Very good. We've been given a message by the Aga Khan University Hospital. I don't know whether you're aware that Aga Khan University Hospital has 53 specialist clinics. I don't know whether you know that. I don't know whether you know that there is a main hospital on Limuru Road and there is another one in Mombasa.
Another in Kisumu.
Another one in Kisumu. And the Aga Khan University Hospital is promoting this thing for wellness and health checkup and saying, come and get a comprehensive checkup for only 9,000. How much?
9,950.
That much.
Yes.
Only that much. I don't know whether Professor Mansoor from Aga Khan University Hospital is aware, but I'm sure he is. And that's one of the reasons why he's here. Welcome, Prof.
Asante, thank you.
City will give you the day's proverb.
Yes. Our proverbs for the last 3 weeks, including this one, have been from countries of the Maghreb. This week we've been in the Republic of Tunisia. Okay? This is Africa's most northernest country. You don't get more north. I would argue it's the true north, is it? Tunisia. He who spends a night with chicken will crackle in the morning.
He who spends a night with chicken will crackle in the morning. You said this is from Tunisia?
Yes, it is from Tunisia.
Okay. Prof, what do you think?
I was prepared for something when I came here. So I've talked to ChatGPT to say, how do I respond to this question? I think it is true that the environment in which you find yourself can be reflected upon you. So it's quite possible that if you sleep with a chicken, that you might behave like them as well. I think that infectious energy can be positive, but also can be negative. And you see it around this country as well. Somehow, we need to find a way to crackle with the kinds of chicken we find like-minded, as opposed to with every chick who is out there. So that would be my interpretation.
Choose your chicken wisely.
Yes, so that you can crackle appropriately.
Yes. And lay the right eggs.
Yes.
Prof, thank you very much. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Why was October chosen to be the Breast Cancer Awareness Month?
I must admit, I do not know the history. It may well be that the first group that was put together this way in North America to talk about breast cancer, it happened to be in October, but I must admit, I'm not quite sure why. We have many months dedicated to different cancers. Why October was breast cancer, I'm not quite sure, actually.
Okay. So what happens in the month of October?
I think we just draw attention to one disease, which is the most common disease for women, and also the most common disease in women who have cancer. And breast cancer is the leading cause of cancer in Africa, as it is in the West, but also the most common cause of death. And so we want to highlight this disease and the fact that we can prevent, early detect, and today even cure. But we need to always be sure that we do our part, that the population does their part, which is why we draw, I think, attention to breast cancer in October. But I think we should be doing it all around the year.
Yeah.
But October becomes at least a focal month for that.
Okay. So we elevate the conversations about
Correct.
breast cancer. Do you think we've done a good job in this country, in the last couple of years, in terms of just highlighting the issues around breast cancer, creating more awareness about breast cancer?
I think we are better than we were before, but the downstream effect is that we do not have enough resources when you identify breast cancer that we give our women the appropriate care. Either there's not enough funding from the federal government, or even when today we have more patients being diagnosed with breast cancer, they still come too late to us. The mganga on the road will stop a woman and tell her about issues that may not be quite relevant. So the awareness on part of the community is not there. It's still lacking. The awareness on part of the physicians as well, the general physicians, about what can be done about breast cancer. We still think this is maybe TB, maybe it's just a little infection, maybe it's a fibroadenoma, a benign lesion. So I think across the board, we are better, but we're not good enough.
Okay. So there's better awareness, but we're not doing well in terms of just providing access to
Correct.
screening services, then access to early treatment and comprehensive treatment.
Correct.
Okay. Are we seeing more people presenting themselves for screening?
The answer is slightly more. We have many cancer centers, quote unquote, around the country in the last year or so, and they provide services. But just because you provide a service does not mean you're providing good care. A good mammogram has to be read by a good radiologist. It's not the X-ray. The other day I saw a woman who had a mammogram which was read as benign. Turns out 4 months later, she comes with aggressive breast cancer, where the mammogram missed the lesion, but also missed the armpit, which has to be included in the mammogram, because that's where the breast tumors will spread. Well, how do we train the technician to do it right? How do we train the radiologist to be sure that that mammogram should be repeated? So while we are there, we're getting better, we were not good enough. And I think that should be the message we have for this month.
Okay. Then the other bit of the question, again looking globally, is we now even have a National Cancer Institute. And we know that you, Prof, and others at the Khan University itself are leading in research, just trying to understand cancers and the cancer prevalence in Kenya. Are we getting anywhere closer to actually having statistics? Do we know the number of people who have cancer at any one given time in the country? Do we know the areas that have higher prevalence? Do we know any of these things? Are we starting to get that information?
We are getting better. Clearly before, when you look at Global Scan, which is the international scan to tell you where you have the hotspots for cancer, there were guesstimates. Today at the NCI, I must give them credit, we have a database, registries where all hospitals, besides reporting cancers to their own institutions, are feeding into the database. So I think we have data which is much more accurate that says certain parts of the country where people do have certain lifestyles have a high rate of breast cancer or esophageal cancer or lung cancer for that matter. So I think we're getting better. And that is critical in order for us to apply specific resources to specific parts of the country because of environmental or genetic predisposition, why certain people in the Tenvik area will have more esophageal cancer. What is it about that part of the country? And I think we are getting better, and the NCI should be credited for that, yes.
Okay. Men also have breasts.
Correct. Men have breasts. The proportion of breast tissue in a man is maybe 1/10. maybe even less than that. We talk about breast tissue, not the tissue which is more adipose tissue. It's the glandular tissue. So men have breast cancer maybe 1/10 to 1/15 of the rate you will find in women. And it's proportional to, one, the amount of breast adenoid tissue, but also the fact that it happens late in life. Even men produce estrogens. And when you stop producing testosterone as you go older, your estrogenic power is higher, which is why men develop breast cancer late in life. Women in Africa develop breast cancer early in life. And that is a problem we face, probably because of the genetic makeup in African women. And we have good data to suggest that the tumors we see in African women are different, even though histologically under the microscope they look the same as in the West. The genetic makeup of that lesion is different. And it's well worth assessing and researching that, which is why we at AKU are specifically dedicated to doing research on patients in Africa as opposed to accepting things from the West that may or may not apply to us.
You say that on this continent, cancer or cancerous cells are detected in women at a much younger age.
Correct.
When you say younger, how young?
So if you look at it, the American Cancer Society used to say you start mammography at the age of 50 because most women who develop breast cancer will develop it above the age of 50. And that makes sense. In Africa, 20%. In Kenya, 20% of breast cancer are detected in women who are below the age of 40.
20%?
20%, 1 in 5.
Wow.
Now that is young. These are young women, premenopausal, early mothers, so it impacts the entire family when a young woman develops breast cancer at this young age. But that can be detected by mammography. Mammography rates are said initially to be start mammogram at the age of 50. Just about 4 weeks ago, even the American Cancer Society said, and we abide it here as well, start your mammography at the age of 40, specifically for that particular reason. But more importantly, every woman, every month, at the same time, when they shower, should be examining themselves just naturally so that you know your body. Because 1 in 10 lesions in a woman's breast that are malignant will not be picked up by mammography, will be picked up by the patient themselves. So know your body. Next time I come here, give me a proverb or a prosa or a rhyme about know your body, because I think we need to know our body. And I think if women did that religiously, and added mammogram on October when things are much cheaper. AKU has an ad to say it's subsidized. All other hospitals have it as well. You need a mammogram every year from the age of 40. When you're above the age of 50, you could do it every other year. But in between, you go and examine yourself very thoroughly once a month. That is very protective. We also know that you can prevent breast cancer. Breast cancer is driven by estrogen. You know, estrogen is like the fertilizer for breast tissue. So tumors have an estrogen receptor, which is like a molecular mouth through which estrogen is like the fertilizer. So as you are getting more obese in life, more estrogen being produced, higher risk. So I think a way to prevent breast cancer is low fat, high fiber, exercise. But you can't do that when you are 50. You have to start when you are young. That will change the paradigm in Africa. That, combined with self-examination and mammography, should reduce our rate significantly if we did that properly.
Low fat, high fiber, exercise.
Yes.
And this is, and you said that if you are bigger, then you are at higher risk.
Correct.
Please explain.
Because fat tissue produces estrogen. And if estrogen is a fertilizer that feeds the microscopic mouth of a tumor, you can imagine obese individuals make more estrogens, more fertilizer. The likelihood of a mutation occurring in your breast tissue is much higher. So today, for example, in a premenopausal woman, the main source of estrogen is the ovaries. So if we have breast cancer in a woman who's premenopausal and their tumor is estrogen receptor positive, we try to shut down the ovaries. Either you can remove the ovaries, which is not a healthy way to do it, or we give you a medication. In a postmenopausal woman where the ovaries are not making any estrogens, it's the adrenal gland or fat tissue that is the source of estrogen. So an anti-hormone treatment for a postmenopausal woman is stopping the adrenal gland and the fat tissue from making estrogen, a different drug than you would give to a premenopausal woman. All those information readily available. Knowledgeable oncologists know that, but it tells you that the driver of breast cancer in women partly is the estrogenic drive.
So are we therefore saying that the findings about the age at which cancer or the cells are detected with African women has something to do with their production of estrogen?
You see, it may not be the only reason, but certainly it may be one of the reasons. The other reason that may be our genetic makeup is volatile, and we do not know why. So you have the environment, you have diet, you have your own estrogenic potential. All those seem to add up that the genes we have that are different than the Caucasian genes may be triggered and in a way irritated, and all of a sudden a cell that is growing normally gets mutated, grows rapidly, spreads, metastasizes, and that's cancer.
I've got to ask, Doc, what's a mammography?
Tell me.
What's a mammogram?
A mammogram. A mammogram is a specialized X-ray which develops rays that penetrate the breast tissue to be able to identify those breast glands that may appear to have a malignant potential. They have microscopic calcifications, they are irregular, and you can do that very well with an X-ray that looks at breast tissue. Importantly though, in a woman who has breastfed significantly, maybe large-breasted, the breast is dense. 1 in 5 women, a mammogram may not be able to penetrate the breast tissue adequately. They may need an MRI. But the mammogram is today the breast detection of choice for breast cancer. And if you find a lesion, to identify is it really highly potential for malignancy, then you do an ultrasound.
Are there dangers associated with mammogram?
The answer is no. Today, the amount of radiation that you receive when you're having a mammogram is very, very minimal. And when you have a mammogram once a year above the age of 40, that is really a minuscule risk compared to the benefits you will reach. Yeah. And we shield the heart, we shield the thyroid gland, so we are sure that we protect you when you get your mammogram done. It's uncomfortable because you're going to squeeze the breast onto a table so that you get the tissue very flattened so the X-ray can go right through. But I think that pain is worth the effort because it can save lives.
So you lie face down?
You're standing in front.
Stand.
This comes to you as a tray. You put your breast on the tray. Another part of the tray squeezes the breast down and the X-ray comes right through. Yes.
How long does that session last?
Oh, I would say the X-ray is seconds. Preparation may be a couple of minutes. And if you've done this before, you know exactly where to stand. And there is no question. If I squeeze any part of your body, and you know as a man or a woman, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable.
Okay.
But that pain is worth the gain, for sure.
How does it then work for small-breasted women and men?
Well, for men, it's going to be very difficult. Most men will pick up their breast cancer by palpation. And then we'll do an ultrasound. That picks it up very well. For small-breasted women, we have the technology allows us to really put the breast on this table. But in those women, maybe ultrasound might be better if you can't get your entire breast as well as the axilla onto that particular platform where the mammogram is done. All possible with the right people, the right technicians.
Over the years, and very many people have come to you, whether they're coming for treatment or they're coming for advice, or do you think that people actually know how to learn their body?
We're getting better because people are becoming more aware about their body because of fashion, etc. But awareness for the particular purpose of early detection of lethal diseases, that awareness is not there yet. And I think if we change our mindset, for men, it's about prostate cancer. And we're not talking about prostate cancer today, but often a man having a decreased stream of urine will say, well, maybe I'm not, age. Maybe I'm not straining enough. Well, it could be enlarged prostate, which is the majority of the men. But within that enlarged prostate could be a prostate tumor. Well, we don't think about it that. We are much more driven towards the sexuality of a breast, to the potency of a man's virility, but body awareness for health purposes is not there yet.
How can we get there? Because I hear this all the time. Oh, just learn, touch your breast, touch yourself, feel. If you feel something different, then you'll know. How do I know what's different?
Yeah.
How do I even know that this thing was not there last year? Do you even remember? Do you remember if I went here last year? How do you know these things, Doctor?
You know, how do you know you put a pimple on your face?
Because you see it.
Yes, you see it, you shave, you feel it, you say, this wasn't there before. I think that awareness is critical. How do we know that this dress looks good on me as opposed to the other dress? Well, we know. There is that awareness. Say, that pink looked better on me than the other one, green, that I wore last time at the dance. I think all of us, if we are really aware, and we are, and we have to just pay attention, and you feel it, it's there, all of us, are we sure was it there? Well, then maybe it was there. Well, next month, am I? Oh, it's become a little bit bigger. Look at the color, it's changed. That awareness is different than beauty awareness. If we were to spend as much time in looking at our bodies as an object that clearly harbingers malignant conditions, breast cancer, cervical cancer, pancreatic cancer, colon cancer, etc., I think we'd be much better off. We have all kinds of ads pleasing us to say, buy this dress, take this makeup, do this for your body, you look young, take Botox. I think we don't have ads to say, pay attention to your body for the sake of your wellness and longevity. That to me would be important.
You know, the advent of cancer is still new for many people on this continent. And it's a disease that is associated with other parts of the world, not necessarily here. But now it's with us. And some of the detection methods that you suggest are also alien.
Correct.
When I take a bath, I don't go into the process of massaging my breast and determining whether there's a lump or not. But now I'm being told it's something you need to do so that you understand. Now, the question is, how do you get people to understand the processes by which they can actually get to understand the early detection, and by so doing prevent the eventuality which will not only be costly but actually harmful to them?
You know, there's the good and the bad. We have more cancers today because we live longer. There used to be a time when African women and men were dying in the early 30s and early 40s. Today we live all the way up to the 60s. So the longer you live, the higher the chance that a malignancy may develop because you've got a mutation. You live long enough for that mutation to be the source of malignancy. Otherwise, you would have been dead much earlier. So that's one. Secondly is that our lifestyle has changed. We are not as active as we were before. We use the car, much more smog. Our lifestyle, our foods are very different. And I would challenge, we adopt Western norms very easily. Style, fashion, social media, the food that we eat today are so Western. Then why wouldn't we adopt some of those Western technologies that say we in the West develop a mammogram to be able to detect breast cancer early, or a pap smear? So let's adopt that as well. So I think we as a community, the pulpit in the church and the mosque should be talking about that, as opposed to talk about ethics, about other issues. I think that should be also the bully pulpit that uses this, because cancer affects the entire family, the entire society in many ways. We have less taxpayers, we have pain, suffering. I think that save of economic power would be very beneficial to Africa.
It would. Now, is there a way in which it can be communicated that the process of early detection, one, is readily available in health centers or health facilities, and that it is also cost effective? I ask the question because I know of very many initiatives that have taken place with regards to cervical cancer. I know of something called a pap smear. Okay, I understand it because I've come across it. But the campaigns are on and off. They are not consistent. Now, are we saying that when we have this awareness month, that we are seeking to up the awareness? And if so, how exactly are we ensuring that people who are most at risk actually get to hear and understand so that they can actually take the requisite action.
I think that's what Spice does. The fact you have me here today is a way to say, let's preach to the choir who are listening. Those who listen, hopefully we promote the message to others. And what you say is right. We shouldn't forget about it just because October is over. However, for breast cancer, at least we should say, in October, I'm made aware, get a mammogram. It's subsidized today. The likelihood of picking up breast cancer early is 9 times out of 10 if it's picked up by mammography as opposed to picked up by yourself much later in life when you have back pain and you have metastatic disease. So I think you're right. We as a society as a whole, civil society is doing a lot of work. You talk about cervical cancer. I was at a meeting just 2 weeks ago organized by the French embassy, and the rate of HPV vaccination, remember, 98% of cervical cancer could be eradicated on this earth if we were to vaccinate our boys and girls from the age of 14 to 18.
Boys and girls.
Correct. Boys and girls. We preach it to the girls, but not to the boys. And the feeling is the case could well be the boy infecting the girl who then due promiscuity will infect another boy. I think both. Yet the bully pulpit is not being used, and we've called all kinds of excuses about what we would do if we were protected and would be much more free in our own lifestyle. None of that has shown to be true. Cervical cancer, I mean, it's a viral disease. You would think you could vaccinate it. We were vaccinating ourselves against COVID very actively so that we would live, but we've not managed it. It's 28% today in Kenya of young girls and boys even less, who are vaccinated against HPV. We could eradicate this. We do not have a virus causing breast cancer, so the issues there are much more complicated. But at least we have the ability, low fat, high fiber, exercise when you're young, and when you are older, above the age of 40, mammography at least begin once a year, and October is a month where we remind you. And the important thing to me is, it's not just a woman's responsibility. Come, you guys will have somebody here on Valentine's Day to talk about roses, love, etc., etc. We should have the men not take his girlfriend and wife to dinner and spend money somewhere at a restaurant. Pay for a mammogram. That would ensure longevity and love for sure.
Oh, that's a new way of expressing love. That's a good one.
It is.
It's a good. Let's take a break at 26 minutes to 8. Our Health Friday conversation today is understanding breast cancer awareness, detection, prevention. Professor Mansoor Saleh, a consultant oncologist at the Aga Khan University Hospital, is our guest. He is a well-known researcher in this field of understanding cancers, and he's here to teach us today about it. As we talk about this on the final Friday of October being the Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with Spice FM.
It's sunny in Nairobi.